quite an indulgent introduction. I think we need to get you involved in the next one.
Oh, I thought you were going to say as in like indulgent because they're all horses that we've obviously picked as on topics, which I'm like, yeah, that's, mate, we've got a hotline called the Trumpet Hotline. Like where one of the big things in this podcast is being able to toot every so often.
Well, if I'm not going to toot my own horn, then who is? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. If we can't toot, who is going to do the tooting? No, look, I think it's a brilliant introduction. It's better than what we had. And yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, like with the new season, probably next season. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but yeah, who's going to feature from a call perspective, from a winning perspective?
To be fair, I haven't picked that many, so
yeah, I think there ought to be something about Animo looking Destiny in the face in the Cox plate.
Yeah, I was even thinking we could have a bit of that, right?
Yeah.
Some of the great calls.
Yeah.
But also more just snippets of us just almost trying to tell a random sentence with snippets that we've said throughout the season, which would just make no sense.
Yeah, okay.
For instance, Busy Fingers. Just having that from our Sunday episode when we were talking about
Indian
cricketers and Indian cuisine.
Yeah, very busy with their fingers.
In the best possible way.
Oh, their finger spinning is out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
Ravindra Jadeja. Jeez, he's a stud, isn't he?
Yeah. If he was at a stud farm breeding young cricketers,
he'd be...
What would his stud fee be?
He'd be hitting more covers than Ricky Ponting. His stud fee would be astronomical. Yep. No, mate. Yeah. Look, I really liked the Sunday review. We were a bit slim, bit Pete Murray, but no, I really enjoyed it. And looking at the ratings, tens of thousands of people tuned in. So clearly, it was a success with the drifters.
No, well said. Before we get into the preview this week,
yep.
What I wanted to ask you, if you were told to go to a do and to bring a plate, what are you bringing?
Oh. Well, this is something that's actually come up in the office pretty recently, because we quite often host events in our office and therefore are putting on a spread for, clients, so on and so forth. And without it, it happens every single time, and this product never misses, and there's never any leftovers. And that's just your basic party pies and sausage rolls, mate. It doesn't matter. We could spend a fortune on catering and get this hectic cheese platter, get like beautiful wraps and salad sangers and things like that. For me, there's nothing better than like an assorted sandwich. You know what I mean? Like when you get like the little triangle luncheon sandwiches, there might be a HCT. There might be a chicken avo lettuce. There might be an egg and lettuce. You know what I mean? Like that for me, that's a very satisfying lunch. We could have spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on that. But if there's, a couple dozen party pies and sausage rolls on offer with some Tommy sauce,
gets the JD.
It goes like that. Rapid. And meanwhile, you've got dozens of people walking away from said gathering with no layers of skin left within their mouths because it's always hotter than Mount Doom. If you wanted to get rid of Sauron, you just make him eat a party pie rather than throwing the ring in Mount Doom. You wouldn't get that reference. Sorry, mate. Sorry, mate. It's a reference you would not understand. So, yeah, I think party pies and sausage rolls can even be your basic, like, Woolies brand.
And it's actually quite rare for one type of food to actually not only remove seemingly the layer of skin within your mouth, but also your asshole.
Your asshole just ceases to exist. What makes you say that?
Because I could imagine if you've put on a client function and the clients are staying around for maybe a beer or two, socialising here and there.
Yeah.
I could imagine that if you're hoping you're on a balcony because it could get quite stinky.
I've never in my lifetime associated flatulence and bowel movements with party pies and snag rolls.
Oh,
really?
I reckon 100%.
Is this just a you thing?
Could be.
It could be.
Could be.
Let us know, drifters. Do party pies make their
Your
credit? Yeah, make your toot have a little party in the toot. Your toot partying in the toot. What about you, mate? What's your?
Well, the reason why I bring this up is because we have a monthly lunch at my workplace, and we had to postpone it today because no one brought anything. It's a very frequent occurrence that people are so underprepared. Now, to be fair, even if we do have it, people, they don't bring lunch food. They bring snacks. So
Shapes,
chippies. Me, I bring some crackers and some cheese.
Yeah.
Because we entertain at our current property quite a lot. And shock me, there's some stuff left over. So
Yeah.
I'll just take that in instead of throwing it out,
Yeah, two birds, one stone, as they say.
But what else do we have down the road? We have Krispy Kreme, so they always get a run.
Yeah, so no one brought anything to your work, do? Look, I work in the city, so I'd say I'm not a peasant. And we actually book a venue for lunch. What's the local for you guys?
Pinky's Takeaway.
This is coming from the podcast before. Pinky's Takeaway.
It is one of the great banh mi's in Brisbane. Who can't do a banh mi is fucking Stafford Heights, mate.
There's no banh mi.
Nothing around here. I'm furious.
Stafford Heights, for the drifters who aren't aware, is a northwestern suburb in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's no Vietnamese community in Stafford Heights, so.
Outrage.
Oh, mate, there's banh mi's galore in the city. There's one just opposite DJ's off Queen Street Mall, mate. It does like a real cheap banh mi that's absolutely elite. It's just a good lunchtime option if you're looking for something a bit bready.
For $8, you can't go wrong.
So why don't you suggest for the next team lunch that everyone just head on down to Pinky's, help yourselves to a banh mi, and just sit around and talk some shit.
Well,
discuss the finer things in life, like does coriander taste like soap or not? Does it?
It does to me.
It used to for me, but mate, I think my taste buds have adjusted.
You're matured.
I've really matured, yeah. For me, coriander's not so bad anymore. I don't know what's happening to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Strange things are happening to me, mate.
Nah, this is...
Like I won the quaddie on the weekend. That's unusual.
So did I.
Cheer drifters.
So, are you team mummy or daddy racing New South Wales versus the rest of Australia?
Mate, I was hoping you'd bring this up today because I read an article today from one of the board members of Racing Australia. God bless her, I've forgotten her name, but she represents Tasmania and the Territories, and she basically resigned and wrote a scathing resignation letter, basically being like, there is no point. There's absolutely no point in Racing Australia at the moment. Am I team mummy or daddy? Who's mummy?
Hard to say.
I'd say PVL's daddy.
Yeah. Just by...
self-appointment.
I think so. I think he's the big daddy in the purest sense, where he's just I feel like dads are more prone to making decisions without consoling people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. PVL's... Yeah, I don't see much consulting coming from him. He's a bull in a china shop, PVL. Yeah. Bull in a china shop. And the china in this said shop is every other racing jurisdiction within Australia. And, we're not an NRL rugby league podcast, but, basically rugby league versus every other sporting code for PVL, unless it's racing.
Mm.
Oh man, I don't know the full story, to be honest. Like you hear one thing and then you hear the other side say something else. I'm of the opinion that why can't everybody love everybody?
I know.
That's the
That's the general consensus I get from
100%. And
participants.
And as a couple of average punters, mate, we just want the betterment and big tragics of the horse racing industry. It's my favourite sport. You just want to see the industry go from strength to strength and not just be purely reliant on us punters forking out more and more cash, to bet on horses, and the point of consumption tax funding the industry. Like we want to see growth. We want to see more and more fans get involved. We want to see better quality horses. We want to see more horses come from overseas. We want to see a real sense to the pattern, so to speak. New South Wales Racing's done unbelievable things to the industry. Revitalised the Spring Carnival in Sydney, and the Everest is probably top 3 race in Australia now, if not top 2. So you've got to acknowledge that, but at the same time, like, why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? What do you think?
I think you nailed it. I think it's just exhausting, right?
It's exhausting, mate.
Like, is the Supreme Court really necessary?
Mate, it's just a battle of the egos from what I've gathered.
And it's just interesting that, of all days to have it on the front page of the newspaper, it was when there was the Asian Racing Conference or whatever it was in Melbourne. Yeah. And it's like, it's just a big giant pissing contest by my counts. You know what I think they need to do? I think Racing New South Wales and Racing Victoria need to go out, wine and dine each other, and then get in a bedroom and sort it out.
Yeah.
They need to kiss and make up.
There needs to be some pillow talk.
That's absolutely what needs to happen. That's what it seems like. It's just a giant thing of foreplay to me. It's, I just don't understand it. It's not good for the industry at all to have this. The racing has never been better in Australia, but there's always this overhanging thing of every jurisdiction in Australia just not getting along, and it's infuriating. It needs to stop.
Someone's got to be held accountable. There's got to be an investigation. No, mate. Yeah, I'm just sick of hearing about the dross. Like, I'm sick of it, mate. Sort your shit out. Like, you're on the board. You're of whichever state you reside in, and you've been placed in that position to get shit done and do positive things for the racing industry. Get over yourself. You know what I mean?
And that Racing Australia board member, I've got her in front of me here, Robin Wishaw.
Yeah.
When she was speaking with Victorian Radio today on RSN, she was very much going, you know what? It's not just Racing New South Wales that isn't unbearable to work with.
Yeah, no,
it's not just them that are at fault. They are one of the big provocators, I would say, but I think Racing Victoria has to come to the party as well. And they're so defensive in this entire thing. It's like, we're just being attacked. Well, I think Racing New South Wales are the ones that are actually coming up with the ideas 90% of the time.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So you've got to acknowledge that. You've got to acknowledge Racing New South Wales and what they've done, and they're innovating, which is unreal. And you're 100% right. Those two are just, they're in a pissing contest, and then everyone's being impacted by it. So, get over yourselves,
I agree. I just hope it doesn't get to the stage where it's like you'll only see the New South Wales horses racing in New South Wales, and you'll only have the Victorian horses racing in Victoria. It could ultimately get to that stage, I reckon.
Yeah, and you can't stop an ownership group from being like, no, I want to race my horse over here, But what you can do is basically put a big money race on every major carnival day in Sydney that clashes with what's going on in Victoria, so that if you're an owner, you're like, I don't care if this isn't a Group 1, I'm keeping my horse in New South Wales.
Exactly right. Enough of that. Let's get into this weekend of racing. Black Caviar Lightning Stakes Day at Flemington. We're back to Flemington, mate. How good is that?
Mate, love Flemington, love the straight. One of the best things in Australian racing.
I agree.
Named after the phenomenal mare herself, Black Caviar. Wasn't she just absolutely gorgeous?
Probably the best of all time. Nature Strip. $2.15 and drifting favourite with the good people at Ned's. J-Mac on board. He's drawn barrier 1. Are you with the champ?
Yeah, definitely. He's my main bet in the race. He's not my only bet in the race, though. Yeah, gate 1, I saw a lot of negativity around that. And I saw a stat floating around today that there's only been 2 winners from gate 1 in like the last 30-odd starts down the Flemington Straight. Which says to me, well, you don't want to be in barrier 1 then. But I think about what happened to me last weekend. And that was learning to fly, winning the Millennium from gate 19. Good horses find a way to win, mate. And he's the best horse in this race. I think he was, when he got to the Everest, that was still an enormous race from him, but I still think it was almost like he'd been up the entire winter because he went over to Royal Ascot. And it was almost like an end of prep run in the Everest, almost, even though he was like sustaining a super hot speed from the outside. And then he just got beaten by Rockin' Horse in the Champion Sprint. But again, I think that was a bit of they should have spelt him, I reckon, after the Everest. But hindsight's a beautiful thing. He'll fly here fresh. Mate, in his old age, and I'll ask you this, and I thought about it earlier today, do you think he might be more of an 1,000-metre horse now because he's gotten a bit older and just the extra 200 metres?
Potentially. Like, he was pretty dynamic in, like, that Ascot win was, I think, the best rated sprint race on the planet, the biggest figure that any sprinter put up last year. And his return in the shorts was fantastic.
It was,
yeah. What I will say is the Nature Strip of old, if he was to have the same run that he had in the Everest last year, he would run last.
Yeah.
Like, I still think he's a far better horse now and he's way more adaptable. What he is doing in his older age is missing the start a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and he's not necessarily always been a really fast starter, but he's being a little bit more finicky maybe, and maybe that's being a little bit harsh, but look, he's my main bet in the race as well. Because you're 100% right, over the 1,000 metres here, I'm looking at the proven runners down the straight. You've got Baller, who has been fantastic last prep, and Tony Gollan was saying that he's come back even better, leaps and bounds better than he was in the spring. So if you like him at $14, absolutely. And Rockin' Horse is a straight horse if I've ever seen it. September run as well, but I don't think any of these are 1,000-metre horses. The only horse in this field that is a 1,000-metre horse is Coolangatta.
Agreed. She's an out-and-out 1,000-metre horse.
100%. So I think they have to be your 2 main bets in the race.
Yeah, I can see why she's coming in. She's $6.50 now with Ned, so I completely understand that. Is she a straight horse though?
Oh, don't know.
She's had the run in the Coolmore Stud Stakes where it was a high pressure race up front, and that allowed the horses sort of just behind the pace, i.e. In Secret, to sort of pounce at the right time. Yeah, Coolangatta, I'm happy to risk in this race. I don't want to dive in at $6.50, even though I agree she's an 1,000-metre horse, and I can see the punters coming for her for sure, and I completely understand that. Yeah, this is an acid test, mate, and I know she won a Group 1 at Weight for Age last prep, but that was in Moonee Valley where she had the number 1 gate and she just rolled out, and Jamie Carr rode her absolutely brilliantly to a plomb. Can't take that away from her. I'm happy to risk Coolangatta. Nature Strip's my main play, so I'm having a couple other bets at horses at bigger odds. But by the sounds of it, are you a bit of a 2-bets Tony in this race?
I'm a 4-bet Tony.
4-bet?
Yep. Oh, mate, in basically every single Group 1, I'm going to have several Quinellas.
Some exotics.
So $75 is on Nature Strip to win.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a $10 Quinella with Coolangatta.
Yep.
And then I'm also going to have a $10 Quinella with I Wish I Win.
Yep.
Now, if we thought Mick Price was foaming at the mouth over Charmstone last week, you should hear the Moody stable about I Wish I Win.
Full on rabies.
They cannot contain their excitement about this boy. And you look back to his first up run in Australia last in the spring. 4-length win over Gentleman Roy, albeit at the 1,400 metres. But you look at this horse's profile, he's a bomb first up.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
and
he is.
If they're training him like a sprinter, he could be just brilliant enough to actually run a really nice race here at $11.
Yeah, I completely agree, and he's one of my other bets in the race. I wish I win. When I first heard Moody was like, yeah, we're gonna take him down the straight in the Lightning and then to the Newmarket. I was like, hang on a second, this thing's just won over 1,500 meters, Golden Eagle. But maybe he is actually a sprinter, and he's just done that with a bit of brilliance, right? And what do we know, right? If Peter Moody's thinking this horse is a sprinter, he's trained probably the best sprinter of all time in Black Caviar.
Exactly.
So he knows what he's doing. And I think there's going to be a stack of early pressure in this race. You got Nature Strip rolling forward. You got Coolangatta rolling forward. You got Marabi rolling forward. And then you've sort of got the likes of I Wish I Win, maybe just sitting back off him. And if there's a stack of pressure up front and he's there, he might just blitz through him and just get there on the line. I have a feeling if they're thinking he's a sprinter, he's probably more of your 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 meter sprinter. But no, at that price with Neds, I'm going to have something on him. So yeah, Nature Strip for me, $70 on of the $100. $10 on I Wish I Win because I'm going to get all my money back if he wins. My other two horses that I'm going to have a tenner on is Marabi, because I think she'll probably start around $9 or $10 with Neds, and I'll probably make my money back if she wins, because I think she is an out and out 1,000 meter, 1,200 meter horse. She hasn't started at 1,000 meters yet, but if you watch a lot of her races, she does tend to tire in that last 50, 100 meters. But because she's like a nice dominant front runner, that she's too far away already for them to catch up. So I don't see why she can't do that over the 1,000 meters. First start on the straight. She's come back from a long time off, almost 12 months. But, with that price, I want to have something small. I reckon she's a good horse, Marabi. My other $10 is going on number 9. Buenos noches. Mate, I love a 3-year-old colt in these sprint races who's done the straight a couple of times. He's run third in the Coolmore Stud. I think you were on him that day.
Oh, he was bloody 20 lengths back.
He was so far back. So if I'm thinking there's a bit of high pressure, word from Matty Smith, the trainer, is that he's come back enormous. So yeah, I want to have something on Buenos Noches at 15s with Neds as well. But that's how I'm playing the race. I think Nature Strip wins. I'm not concerned about the barrier. He's been trying really well. First up, fresh, almost bulletproof, but at that short quote, yeah, I'm going to try and find some value.
Yeah, for sure. By my mathematics, I have $5 left over.
Oh, do you?
So I have...
My apologies. I've still
No, that's completely fine. You might have guessed it. I'm just going to have I Wish I Win and Coolangatta in a Quinella as well.
Makes sense.
$5 left over. Why not?
Why not? And look, we started off with a bang. We spoke about it on our review, but all of us are in the positive.
Yes.
You, me, and our drifter of the week, Bradley Weston. So,
if I know Bradley, and I think I do, I think he's having the $100 on Nature Strip. Or Coolangatta. He's a Coolangatta guy.
He's a
Coolangatta guy.
No, I'd be interested to see what he does this weekend. So, ball's in his court.
It is. All right, let's get through the other listed Group 3s, Group 2s across Melbourne and Sydney. So we're going to race 2 at Flemington, the Vanity. Group 3 for the 3-year-old fillies, set weights and penalties. Any strong thoughts here?
Not particularly, mate. Look, I think there's a lot of horses in this race where this is just a touch too short for them. Zenzella comes to mind as one who I think's got a bit of something about her, but this is going to be a bit too short. No particular strong thoughts. I do like what I've seen from the Moody horse. He might be in for an absolute banger of a day. Number 9, Nunthorpe, J Carr on board. Would be interested to see how that horse goes, but no strong thoughts.
She's a bet in this race for sure. The only 2 times that she's been at a racetrack, she's run the fastest last 200 metres of the meeting each time. Big step up in grade here, sure.
Oh, yeah.
But as you said, there is a lot of resuming and quite frankly, slow horses in this race.
Yeah.
So I think she could be that brilliant filly with Jamie Carr on board, 56 kegs. Sure, why not? Next race that we're looking at is the Talindert. Is that race 3? Yes, it is. So we have a listed race for the 2-year-olds, set weights and penalties again, 1,100 metres. So they're going down the straight. Typically down the straight for a 2-year-old, I actually don't mind them finding the rail so they have something to follow. Scorsese was scratched from last week and now he's $6.50 instead of $20. So, but I can't surely tip another moody horse in this race. Any strong opinions here?
No, I have no strong opinions, mate. This is going to be a watch race for me. You're exactly right. The 2-year-olds down the straight with hardly any starts. It's just let's see what happens in this race.
I do have one. They may as well have a bet on it if they've had the trouble of putting it on. Mahabra has been an excellent trialer. If you look through this horse's profile, it's had about 4 or 5 trials, and it's already been handed over from a different trainer. So it was with David Payne. Now it's with Graham Begg.
I did see that actually. Yeah.
Now, if you go back and watch this horse's only run, no idea what it's doing. So that was the Barber race that won in Sydney.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So you saw Barber take that massive right angle at the top of the straight. Yeah. Well, this thing was doing that except 200 metres from home. It was wobbling. It had the wobbly boots on, something chronic. So it's gone back to the trials. Really professional. Has a nose roll on. So
has it been gelded since that debut race, or was it already gelded?
From what I could see, it's already been gelded.
Okay.
So yeah. I think it's just a bit of a nutcase, just figuring it all out. Soft draw should land right behind the speed here. I do want to be with it after seeing its trial. Very nice trial. $5.50 seems about right. Next race that we're talking about now is race 5, the Francis Tressady.
Shout out to you, Frankie.
1,400 metres, Group 3 for 3-year-olds. Fillies and mares.
Yeah.
One of your favourites is back here.
Which one? I've got a couple that I like in this race.
Anavisto.
Yeah, Anavisto is a favourite of mine. She goes well first up. Complete forget in the Tats Tiara. I don't know what happened in that race, but she was sort of fresh up after a couple of months, and I don't know. She was just really disappointing in that race. I thought she'd run really well. Backed her in the Queen of the Turf. She ran second. I think I backed her first up last prep. She ran a bomb, huge rating. I think she'll do the same here on a dry deck. From that gate, J Car on. Yeah, Anavisto is a big bet for me this weekend, $2.60 with Neds.
Yeah, I agree. She was the obvious one. But if you're looking for something to put into your Ned's same race multis, Elusive Express is that mare. You need an aggressive rider with this horse, I think. You got that in Blake Shin. I don't think they get quite more aggressive in Victoria than him.
Jeez, he's good.
He's bloody good.
He's so good.
So this filly, mare, from what I can see, she was $34 when I was checking this morning. She's $20 now with Ned, so they've had a nibble there. A couple of trials, was pretty poor in the first one, but she trialled behind Alligator Bloods in his latest jump out, and she was quite solid to the line there. So CS Hayes for the 3-year-olds, Colton Geldings. What are your thoughts here?
There's 2 horses that I like in this race, and I think for me it's tossing up. If I want to go the horse that's been racing, and you like your Geelongs, your Murray Bridges, and that's attrition coming from a smaller stable. I'm wondering if the $3.60 with Neds would be on offer if it was coming from a bigger stable, because he's had 2 really good. His 2 races last start, 2 really good wins. Braining things by lengths and lengths. Number 14 attrition. So interested to see how he goes. Look, the form horse in the race for me though is number 4 Bankmore. Finished just behind Jacquino last start. We all saw what Jacquino did on the weekend. Jacquino gave him some weight though, so obviously Jacquino in that race was a bigger run to win, but it's Jacquino. He's a Group 1 horse. He's a stud prospect, right? So Bankmore for me, I think is a pretty good bet in this race at $4.80 with Neds. I think I'm leaning more towards him over attrition. I think the 1600 metres, sorry, is going to be right up. 1400 metres, sorry, the CSA Stakes, lol. It's going to be right up his alley. Plus, guess who he's by? Japanese Sire Maurice.
Love that.
I know you like to see that. So, Bangmore for me. What are your thoughts?
Couldn't agree more. Jack No form is the best form in this race for mine. And I think he's been proven in, those 3-year-old features to date. And, attrition is the young hot thing on the up, but I think Bankmore is the one that I want to be with. So we've talked about the Black Caviar Lightning, and we finished with the Elms Handicap in race 8 as well. Tough race here, I thought.
This is a tough race. Unimec was very, very close to winning last start on the quick backup here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, he's a get-back run-on horse, right? You look at his last 12 months, I think the majority of these would be racing in Australia. He's won one, which was his first run here coming from Hong Kong, I believe.
Yep.
But then he's finished second 3 times and third twice. So he's mighty consistent, but he just finds one better on the day. I really liked the profile of Uncle Bryn in this race. Like number 4 has been really proven first up, and not only proven first up, but racing against the likes of Mr. Brightside, Old Flame first up. So in his previous couple of preps, finished up brilliantly in the Cranbourne Cup. That was a really nice win and a really quickly run race. So I'm happy to be on side with him. Barrier 4 shouldn't be too far off the speed. Scalapini's the other one, the Queenslander. I thought, he's Damien Lane jumps back on. Proven to Flemington as well. But yeah, probably leaning in team Uncle Bryn over Scalapini.
Yeah, look, if I was going to have a bet in this race, I'd probably be with the 14 Daytona Bay. We're hoping Peter Moody has an absolute bomb of a day, and Jamie Carr for that matter. Look, gets the weight in this race. Really lightly raced horse overall, so I think there's probably a bit more upside there. Whereas a lot of these others, we've seen a hell of a lot of them. Like, how many starts does it looks like Elvis had? 61 starts. Like, we've seen a lot of looks like Elvis. We've seen a lot of him. Yeah, he'll roll forward as well. So I think with that lighter weight, Jay Carr, she's a good front running jockey. Daytona Bay, $5 with Neds.
Lovely. You're getting a better price because I think it was a bit disappointing last start.
He was. SP profile. Anyway, shall we venture to PVL territory?
We should.
Sydney.
Silver Slipper for the 2-year-olds, 1,100 metres.
Who won the Silver Slipper last year?
You are asking questions that I cannot answer. It could possibly have been Fireburn.
Best of Bordeaux?
Best of Bordeaux, maybe. Let me have a Google while you talk about this race.
Silver Slipper. Geez, these 2-year-olds just making it harder and harder every year. It was Best of Bordeaux Drifters. There you go.
Well done.
Every week they're making it harder and harder to figure out who the good ones are. So there's some good ones in this race. Which, number 3, King's Gambit. Number 6, Madeira Sunrise, who won on debut. And number 8, Platinum Jubilee, who's quite a professional young little filly from the Waterhouse and Bott stable. Look, the $2.60 with King's Gambit is sure based on his last start, but I'm expecting him to bounce back, mate. And if he does bounce back and puts this field away, he probably jumps back into Golden Slipper favoritism. Am I diving in at the $2.60? I think so, but I think he's probably multi-bait. You're putting him with, you're finding 2 legs. Maybe Nature Strip, maybe King's Gambit into Nature Strip. You've got your 2-leg multi there, just to get a bit more juice. Because the juice has got to be worth the squeeze, mate. Otherwise, you're wasting your fucking time.
You are.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I couldn't really split Platinum Jubilee and King's Gambit, so I'll just go on the one at the better price.
Yeah, fair. Well, there's a 2-year-old here that starts with Fire, mate, so I thought you'd be all over that.
Fire lane. No. Cylinder, if you do like Godolphin and 2-year-old at races, and let's be honest,
why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? $6 here, I think third or fourth favourite. About $60 currently in the slipper. If it wins this, it definitely won't be that price in the slipper. So if you like a futures punt, have a go with that. Why not? Race 6, the Millie Fox Stakes. You have Gerald P Day absolutely firing with number 2 Maria Mia.
I actually was like, who's that? I was gonna go with Jason Print. Gerald what?
P Day.
Gerald P Day. Oh look, yeah, you can take your $1.95 with Maria Mia with Jason Print. I'm not touching it. That's stinky.
Yeah.
Poo. Yep, stinky. No thanks. I'm steering clear of this race. If I had to try and get it beat, I might trust Chadley Schofield with Catalan, but there's nothing in this race that appeals, mate.
I think you might be having a bet after I spruik this thing.
Okay.
Number 10,
Pavitra.
Pavitra. Thank you. I'm always a bit dyslexic when I'm reading out these horses. So this filly might prove to be an Oaks filly, right?
Yeah. I think she could find this too short.
Yeah. I was listening to Will Friedman during the week, and they say this is their best horse in their stable.
Sheesh.
So much so that she could actually be a Melbourne Cup horse by the end of the year. Now, you might say, hey, why are you backing it in the 1,300 metre contest?
Mate, you know where the horses are. You need to go hold them. The Melbourne Cup is more than double this distance, mate. It's almost triple.
So may that be.
Look, if Gypsy Goddess was in this race, and I know she's a 2,400 metre horse, and God bless her soul, she's retired. If she was in this race, I'd still be like, no, she's a top 3 chance.
Well, I mean, full respect, and why not seem that way from the way we've been talking about some particular runners in this field. But there's no stars in this field, right?
No, there's not.
And if I think I've found one on the rise, I'm 100% taking the $11 on offer.
Yeah, and I tell you what, if it wins, I'm going to say, geez, it was good that I found that horse in that race.
Yeah,
on the review podcast.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna have like I'm gonna put like $20 on it now with Neds.
Yeah,
and I'll say, yeah, I found Pavitra as well.
Yeah, you know who this reminds me of? Marzu from the autumn last year.
Oh, didn't we just bullseye Marzu? Both of us.
Yes.
I was like, you know what? That was the podcast horse. Of the autumn and of the spring more so. And then the winter.
Mate, have a look. I'll show you after this actually, but have a look at the stride of this filly. It is enormous. She just looks absolutely effortless when she's getting across the turf. And you look at her trial, right? Trials, I'm not a big trial guy, but she beat home King of Sparta, who won in the Magic Millions Carnival. Riadini, who's proven at, open grade. And I think Zaki was back into 8th and he was pretty much down below standard there. But, mate, Jamie Carr was saying that this thing is so cleanly winded that after she went around in the Kennedy Oaks in the Springs, like she could go around again. She's like, this thing is just an absolute freak. So I think she could be good enough against her own sex here at $11 first up at a distance that it's not suitable. $11, what are you going to do? Give it a go. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like you're spruiking $1.50 thing.
No.
Mate. And what do you expect, drifters? Hey? If you want value, then sometimes you're going to have to throw at the stumps and be disappointed. But sometimes, oh, look, she's got form around Zoo. Gotcha. That's good form. Mate, American Pharaoh. No, damn, first name Gypsy. That's a bit of an omen that we're talking about Gypsy Goddess. I didn't even realise. Look, you've talked me into it. Hopefully you've talked in a few drifters too responsibly. So love your work, mate.
Absolutely. We have the Parramatta Cup. One of your old mates is back here.
Yeah, Salino, he's back. He's been out for since the 2021 Melbourne Cup. So it's good to see him back in action. He's a Sydney Cup winner from 2021. Look, it's just good to have him back. You know, whether he runs well in this race, he looks bloody fit, which is great. He's going for another Sydney Cup, so this is well and truly short of his preferred distance. Not a fan of the stable. King Frankel is $4, the favourite in this race with Neds. Do you think he gets the job done, or do you think my friend Irish Legend gets the job done? Because I found him twice in a row.
Yeah, you have. No, I think the King gets it done.
Yep.
Just a fantastic name. Promising stayer on the rise. Look through his, English form. Not much to speak of. Couldn't do anything over there.
No.
Just, like all good expats. They come over here and then they just want to stay.
And my thing is, like, if you're the owners of this horse, you purchase it and he's by Frankel, like, yes, Frankel is probably the best horse of all time, one of. Don't call his son King Frankel. That's like, imagine if LeBron James called his son LeBron James Jr. That's exactly what he did.
It's exactly what he did.
Which is stupid. You don't put that much pressure on the young thing. And they put all this pressure on King Frankel. No wonder why it's taken him a while to find his own footing, He's trying to step out of his dad's shadow, mate.
Yes.
And, will he do that with Mark Newnham? He's been trying.
Sizable as it is. All right. One of the races of the weekend, the Hobartville. Af Cabin. Does he win?
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I've seen a bit of mixed media, mixed reactions to Af Cabin after his win first up, which was as dominant as what you'll see in the Eskimo Print Stakes over 1,200 metres. Some people are like, oh, don't get the hype, had a plum run, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, he had a plum run, but he absolutely brained him, mate, over 1,200 metres. And I don't think that's his distance.
No.
Like $1.60 short. Yeah, look, am I absolutely diving in at those odds? No, but do I think he's better than these? Yes. Oh, Pierre with the New Zealand form. Every time, well, not every time, most of the time when these New Zealand Group 1 horses come across, most of the time, mate, we end up being disappointed by their form.
Mm.
There are exceptions, Sharp and Smart, Melody Bell.
Rockin' Horse.
Imperatriz on the weekend. Gee, she could win some sprint races over here. That was incredible.
No, she was pretty good.
Sheesh. Aft Cabin. I don't care about the gate, mate. Put these away, and he'll start sub $2
I'm looking at this field
for the Randwick Guineas.
Machilate, Primido, Williamsburg, Brosnan, Magic.
Magic's a maiden.
Manzois. All of these horses want further. There's only 3 winning chances in the race. You could argue for Pierre, Af Cabin, Osipenko, Zoo Tiger. Who's going to win the race? Af Cabin is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm interested to see how the New Zealander goes because the stable are quite confident that this thing's pretty good. But
yeah. And $12 with Neds, fine out of that price for sure. But no, look, I don't agree with the ridiculousness that people were saying Af Cabin, he's Animo. It's just like, no, he's not. Actually, people were saying that about Golden Mile. That's just people get carried away, mate. And I understand that as you got to temper your expectations. And some people are like, "Oh no, he's not all that. That one was not that dominant." It's like, no, that was a dominant win, mate. That was a dominant win. He wins these.
Like I'm looking through Af Cabin's profile, right? Like he's absolutely beat up on Meridius and Amenable, who couldn't go a yard last weekend at Sandown. He's beat up on Zoo Tiger at a distance that's not suitable. He's lost to Jacquino, who's proven to be a 2-time Group 1 winner. And then
he lost his maiden.
On
a heavy 10.
And who did he beat home that day? Glenna Silver, who came out and won Group 2 on the weekend. Like, what do you want
What do
from
you
him?
want?
Come on, man.
What do you want?
Listen.
Oh, just enjoy the race, drifters. Just enjoy it. He'll win. He'll Go into the Randwick Guineas. He'll start sub $2. Barring bad luck, he'll win that race, and the stable can make a decision as to whether they want to take him out further or aim at like a Group 1 weight for age over like a mile. I don't know what the stable wants to do with him.
No. James Cummings is employed to do that. And, shock me, he's doing a pretty bloody good job at it. I would have thought.
I'm without speech. I'm speechless. I'm a mute.
I'm keen to see how Brosnan goes for a Rosehill Guineas.
And I wonder, and I'm keen to see how a few of them go because Aussie Guineas on the same day as the Randwick Guineas, right? So some of them will probably go down there, but yeah.
Whatever.
Future on the Drift podcast problems.
Osipenko being one. He'll run in the Australian Guineas. No way.
No, Avcabin could run by himself. If he brains this field, just give it to him by default. Anyway.
The other horses go, oh no.
Oh no.
So that's about it, I think. So if you would have one bet all weekend, what would that be?
Look, I do like Anna Visto this weekend, mate. She flies fresh, the 1,400 metre profile. I'm a big fan of hers. She's still quite a lightly raced mare, so Anna Visto for me.
Pavitra for me.
You taught me into that. I'm going to have something on that at that price. And I think the biggest watch for me this weekend is, apart from Avcabin, is I Wish I Win. Big watch for me this weekend to see how he comes back because, if he's as good as what the stable thinks, this thing could be anything.
Yeah, I agree. Well done. That's it, Drifters. If you haven't a bet, do it with Nez, but do it responsibly this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Drifters. Goodbye.